Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. It's another very special episode, and this week, there's a lot going on in Magic, and I know this is the thing that's going to excite you all the most, and Jason's pouring a beer so he can enjoy it. Arena is coming to Macintosh computers. What do you think? Everyone's been talking forever about Arena coming to Macs, as if this was the game changer that was needed. If it's not on Mac, it's not a real game. That's what people said. And now it's here. And it felt like it got lost in the news cycle in about 30 minutes. No one really cared all that much. What else was going on?
I have a Mac.
I too have a Mac that I use.
I call it Bernie Mac because it died. Remember? Bernie Mac died?
I don't know who that is, Jason.
Sarcoidosis.
I just call him Mr.
How dare you? You don't know who Mr. 3000?
Mr. 3000.
I know what sarcoidosis is because I watched The House. Does that count?
It would really be what? Mr. 2997? Was that the premise of that movie?
Yeah, and they're like, you got to play baseball again. He's like, oh no, I'm a retired baseball player and I have to play baseball. I never saw it, but
I think I saw like half of it.
He had his own show.
Not a great movie. He did.
It was a good show. It was funny.
I will take your word for it.
The Bernie Mac show was actually really good.
All right. Well, we've got one other thing that we're going to do before we jump into sudden substitution.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we got one other thing to do for the podcast, and I was going to be content with that. I was going to be like, damn, that's efficient.
We don't have to say our
leave
pick
them
of
wanting
the week.
more.
We don't have to say our breaking bulk. We put all that stuff in the spreadsheet. We're done.
All right. Everyone knows, or I don't even remember if we did this on the podcast. It was probably after hours. The last time a listener sent me something to open for the podcast, it ended up being some kind of crazy manifesto from some insane person that had been sent to their work. And as I opened it up, I was like, this is not good for the podcast. This is bad. So it might have been an after hours. Regardless, I did not learn my lesson. And here I have another piece of mail sent to me by BR. Addressed to Nikachu, the prof, or whatever. So I'm going to open this up and see what's inside here. It's covered in an actual obscene amount of tape. So I think this might have been part of the troll.
We should start converting our podcast to Zoom so we can actually watch in real time.
Yeah, and then we can only record 35-minute episodes. That sounds awesome.
I agree.
All right. This is awesome, though. Thank you, BR, and I won't spoil. I won't out-shoot anyone for doing nice things for me. Tell them how to find you in Discord. But thank you so much. Look at this. It's a altered Merfolk Mistbinder. I love it. And on the back, we've got a what is this? It's a Kapala Warden of Waves. Written on it. I'm trying to read this here. Corbin Wings NFC Full Kapala. That is awesome. Thank you so much. That was cool. This was something nice. You hear that, everybody? You could send me manifestos, or you could send me nice cards.
I gave you like a World Championship Merfolk deck.
You know, that was actually awesome because I took that to the Players Tour, and Martin Yuza had a World Championship deck on him because that's the thing, I guess, now for all of the pro players to do in their spared time at paper events in between rounds. Lol, not a thing anymore. But so it's interesting. There's this whole sort of background to the games they play in between rounds. And one of my favorites is where they have the pro player cards, everyone who made Platinum or Hall of Fame or won a Pro Tour or whatever back in the day. They'd have these pro player cards that Wizards would create. So they would basically do kind of an apples to apples type game with them where they would announce some category and then everyone would have to play down one of their pros, and you know, it's all of them around the table, and it's just a very interesting use of promotional materials. But anyways, yeah, at the Players Tour now the whole thing is to battle World Championship decks against each other. So we did not get a chance to game then, and now maybe we never will. But that World Championship deck you gave me that I think I did just picked up at that event from you came in incredibly handy. So DJ, that was a nice gift. Thank you.
It wasn't a gift. Everybody? It wasn't a gift. You paid me $20 for it.
Yeah, whatever. Same thing. I gave you $20 for the privilege of letting you give me a gift.
It was a mystery box. I literally said, "Give me $20 and I'll give you something cool." I think I said like, "I'll give you something cool if you give me $20." And then you were suspicious.
Yeah, I was suspicious. That is true.
And yeah, because last time GJ said, "I'll give you something if you give me $20," he gave me COVID. Just coughed right in my face.
And you have to keep in mind, sometimes people related to this podcast just send me manifestos in the mail.
Jason, I gave you the gift of antibodies.
All right, it is time for Sudden Substitution. Every week, we bring you an expensive Commander staple and give you some budget options to replace it. So, this week, we're going to talk about a card that I learned was $50 today. Craterhoof Behemoth.
I really wish you wouldn't have bid stuff like that.
I thought this card was $20 or $30. I thought it was somewhere.
It was
at
one point.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It's been at least 6 months since then, though. I also didn't realize we had talked about Cabal Coffers. That card is going crazy right now. The market is just breaking, you guys.
It's still going. Unfortunately, I sold a Craterhoof like 2 days ago for $61. So that's how things are at.
I mean, this is
just after someone knew it was getting reprinted. They paid $61.
Yes, they did, and it was through direct, so they just hit that button.
I don't know. I mean, look, we'll get back into sudden substitution here, but let's take this where it comes up. When I say the market is breaking, Cabal Coffers is like $75, $80 or something right now. My point is we've already seen this happen on a bunch of cards. It feels like it's a new card every couple days, every week, and it's June. There's not going to be paper events until 2021 at the
maybe. Maybe.
We're early into the process of this kind of like drying out. And when I say it creates a bubble, I think it really I've always shot down talk of Magic card prices being a bubble, always, because just because a card is expensive does not mean it's a bubble.
Well, and when people say bubble, they cite stuff like, what about baseball cards when 96 different companies all made baseball cards? Well, think about it. Like, nobody else is making Magic cards. Right,
and there was nothing to do with your baseball card. They were literally just collectible.
They were Beanie Babies for white guys. kind of like how Beanie Babies were Beanie Babies for white guys, but yeah.
they were exactly. Beanie Baby boomers.
But, I mean, this is creating what I believe is an actual bubble if we go another 6 months of this. Cabal Coffers is not a $100 card. It's not. And
it's in Commander Masters. I would wager lots of money.
Yeah, I mean, reprints aside, I'm just saying these spikes, if we go on another 6 months like this, it's going to be unreal. And we're going to see
I can't wait to sell into it. I'll sell every card I own.
We're going to see a billion tweets about how it's Wizards' fault for not reprinting cards, obviously, because it's the only possible variable that any of this could reflect on. But I don't know. I just feel like, buckle up, because it's hitting Commander staple. It's hitting the super staples right now.
What?
The cyclonic. That means the next step, another 2 months from now, is going to be the tier 2 of Commander staples, right? It's just going to continue to spread.
The same reason this is happening, dealers are also like, we can't go to GPs. We're desperate to get cards in. So Buylists are going nuts. So it's like, as much as prices are exploding, dealers are paying higher, like the spread is lowering as dealers are paying more just to get the cards in. Because if they can't, it doesn't matter if Cabal Coffers is $90 if they don't have any in stock. Right. So you have situations where the dealers can't go to GPs and get cards. The only really thing they can do right now is get people to sell to them online. So if you're someone who's got these cards and you're hearing, sell into the hype, that sounds easy. But if you don't have a TCG player store, like you're not all set up with eBay, what can you do? It's never been a better time to buy list.
Yeah. Absolutely. And one of the best places to do that is at our sponsor, channelfireball.com. Now, we talked about, Jason's talking about basically juicing buy lists. And Channel Fireball has been doing that. They're doing buy list giveaways anytime you submit an order. So not only is Channel Fireball home to a lot of great content that you can check out, you can also use their buy lists. And in times like these, that's looking like a pretty good option. So we, as always, want to shout them out as being our sponsor and having one of the best websites on the Magic internet for cards. So
Channel Fireball's buy list thing right now is so good that we would mention it if they weren't paying us.
That is true.
So
it's true.
There's an interesting thing with the whole amount that vendors are willing to pay right now during the pandemic, because I mean, there's a few exceptions to this rule. Like Card Kingdom basically doesn't do paper events. They were at Magic Fest Seattle like a year or two ago, but other than that, they just don't. But vendors are, if you theoretically just like look at the numbers that vendors pay on site at a Magic Fest, and then calculate the actual expenses that those stores are paying to be at those events, that increases the average price of the card that they're paying on higher than the number that's on the board. So you're like, they're paying like $19 for Teferi Hero Dominator or whatever, but like if you take all of the data of every single card and then add in like labor and food and Uber cost and hotel cost and plane tickets and
flights,
yes, if you add all of that in, that raises the buy price of that card that they had to actually pay out by like a pretty significant margin. So like vendors aren't technically like new to this concept of paying that much higher cost and living those lower margins, especially because they get to run like the higher efficiency program of just like being home and like opening packages without having to deal with any additional like forces at play. So
and you set sort and alphabetize the cards for them before you send them in, so it's like they cut out part of their labor there.
Yes,
they still have to physically grade the cards, but
yeah, it's literally the big choke point seems to literally just be the number of consumers that use the online buy list system,
getting people
as opposed to just showing up.
Getting people used to that process, which isn't something people do a lot, and it's not something we necessarily advocate all the time either.
Well, it's more work, and people don't want to do that. Like that's the big giant like obstacle that people don't want to climb, is they don't want to just invest like 3 or 4 hours of their schedule into doing that sort of project, when at a GP it's a quote 0 hour investment, because they're already there and they're already blocking that time as just like magic. It's just magic time. That's it. That's it.
They just sit down, they hand DJ a box full of sleeved cards, and then try to talk to him about inane bullshit while he's trying to sort their cards.
So I had a collection buy recently, and you guys know the sleeves that like slide in onto themselves, right? Like the horrible, like everybody hates them. Like the perfect fits that like you seal them off by like sliding onto itself to create a seal. My friend called those diaper sleeves, and that is just A+ in metaphor and description. Just like they're, that's the end of that story. But they're if you use
didn't tell
those...
the middle of that story. What's the middle of the story? You had a collection buy, and then you said these sleeves exist.
That was a good pour. You Corbined it up, man.
Were the cards in the collection sleeved that way?
Yes, they were. Some of them were. One deck was.
Okay. So
happily ever after.
You're like, I bought a collection and these sleeves are bad, and then 60 cards were in those sleeves, and it took me 2 minutes to extricate them. Good story, man. Corbin.
Yep, that was solid. So I mean, look, the point is, I guess we're gonna see where things go from here, and in the long run, it could serve to make the market more efficient. Now, in the short run, people want to go take their cards to their local game store to sell them if they just need cash, similar to how they would at GP. But at the same time, it's more people out of necessity are going to end up doing these online buy lists because there is no GP that comes to them. And once they've climbed that hill, right, once you've done the process and you sort of understand it, it's much less daunting. They're more likely to do it in the future. So when we come out of this, right, and the supply chain kicks back open, well, you're going to have that bringing down prices, but you may also have the fact that more people are willing to use the online buy list in the first place, and you will just have less friction between the transactions. It could serve to make the market more efficient in the long run, but that's why I actually, I'll entertain talk of it being a bubble right now, because if there becomes a magic date where there's a vaccine for COVID or whatever, and it's April 30th next year, and on May 1 you open up and now we have events, well, then I just don't see any way that those events aren't just absolutely flooded by people, and therefore you're going to see prices crash. So that's my read on it right now, I guess. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. This is an unprecedented situation.
Yeah, why should U.S. senators be the only people who make money from COVID?
Yep. In the meantime, this is partially, it can make it happen, right? But in the meantime, if you had your eyes on an expensive card that's a commander staple, you might want to get it. Because if you were trying to hold down a Cabal Coffers or say what we're going to talk about, Craterhoof Behemoth, it might not come down to where you want it to.
But all the rest of your stuff is inflated. So if you've got inflated stuff and then the buy lists are paying more on top of it, yes, you're paying more for the card you're getting rid of, or for you picking up, but everything you're getting rid of is also inflated. So like it's kind of a wash. So as much as it feels bad, you're like, no, I'm paying $80 for Cabal Coffers. It's like, look what you're getting for the stuff you don't even care about.
I mean, the other option to that is, I mean, and this demands a virtue of players that many do not have, which is patience. Okay. You can, like, if you're not able to play casual Magic with your friend group and you're doing webcams, or what if you're going online, or any of these, or just like even diverging into other hobbies, you can just like wait out the entire storm. Yeah. And, like, if you just if you just snap your fingers, put Magic on freeze, like shove your entire collection in a closet or whatever, and then you come back in a year and a half and like Cabal Coffers is now $28 because of 2 reprints, or Craterhoof is back down to 30, or like just after the entire supply wave and another set of Commander Legends, and just after all this goes away, if your collection is just sitting collecting dust and you're not in a position where you're able to play Magic, you may not just have to. And if you don't want to get rid of everything, you still want to play, you just need to put it on freeze. Like, you can just do that, and that requires a large amount of patience. But it is an option to make the most sound financial decisions instead of just like looking at MTG stocks and drooling at Craterhoof's graph. Like,
yeah, you could also to go kind of the other side of that. If you want to put a lot of work into it, well, you can sell into all of these spikes. Yes. I'm just lucking my way into this because I have just a ton of cards sitting in my office that I've bought from collections over the past few years that I sell some of them, feel like I get some of my money back, and then I just don't really get to the rest of them or whatever. But as soon as my son starts up preschool, hopefully anyways in the fall, we're kicking this TCG Player Store off, and I'm going to sell into all these spikes. It's going to work out great for me, but you can do the same thing if you believe. If you have kind of the same read on this that we do, you could sell your stuff for big prices now if you can live without a certain card for 6 months or whatever, right? So it goes both ways. You can take advantage of it if you want to approach it that way. All right, well, let's jump right back into sudden substitution with Craterhoof Behemoth. It's $50. And that is pretty expensive. It is going to get reprinted in Jumpstart, but we don't know what that's going to do to the price. We don't know how much Jumpstart's going to be open, how much of it's going to get back into the market for all the reasons that we've discussed. So if you are looking for a budget alternative to Craterhoof Behemoth.
All right, I'm going to go with Thunderfoot Bailoth.
Okay, what does that do?
This is a card with the keyword Lieutenant. It is a 6-mana 5/5 trample in green. It was originally in the Freyalise deck, and then it was reprinted in Commander Anthology. The Lieutenant keyword says, as long as you control your commander, Thunderfoot Bailoth gets +2/+2, and all other creatures you control also get +2/+2 in trample. Mm-hmm. So it is... Yeah.
It's a good one.
If you have a commander in play, and green is the best color for getting enough mana to get your commander in play, then it's a 6-mana 7/7 with trample that also just makes all of your elves and saprolings and what have you just squish somebody. It may not give them +17/+17, but it's also a 50th of the price. So if you can green sun it, you can do all the various shenanigans. It doesn't have a cast trigger. You just get it. It's not even enter the battlefield. It's consistent. If this survives for 2 or 3 turns, you're still getting that buff. So
that's a nice one. That's a nice one from that one for sure.
If you hear it, it's too late. That's the flavor text. Much like if you're just hearing about Craterhoof's price now, it's too late.
It is too late, yeah. All right, I've got a card with no flavor text because it has all the rules text. Decimator of the Provinces. So, this is an interesting one. This is an Eldrazi Boar from Eldritch Moon. It's a 10-mana 7/7. However, you can pay the emerge cost of 9. That's 6 and 3 green. The way that works is you have to pay 9 total. However, the converted mana cost of any creature you sacrifice can help pay for that. So if you sacrifice, say, some kind of random 5-drop, let's say an acidic slime, well, then you only have to pay 4 more mana on top of that to Decimator the Provinces. And when you do, it's a 7/7 with trample and haste. When you cast it, so even if it were to get countered or removed or whatever, creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trample until end of turn. So it is a beating. It has its own unique way of coming into play, right? It's a little different. It's not just sort of a worse version of Craterhoof. And it's only $2. So it's a pretty interesting one to look at.
Now, I was tempted to pick Endrace Forerunners or something like that, but I felt like all these picks are a little too similar to Overrun and not really to Craterhoof. Craterhoof just ends the game. Like, you don't even do the math. On Decimator of the Provinces,
sure, you're right.
Do some math. You're like, man, do I have enough to kill everybody? If you have a Craterhoof, you're like, I have 15 creatures, so you tell me. Something that makes you not have to do math is Triumph of the Hordes.
Yes.
Now this is, it's a little bit more expensive than some of these other picks, it turns out, because Triumph was only printed once. And while it was an uncommon...
Mystery boosters.
It is in Mystery Booster.
Oh, okay. Well, no one got those, so... Okay, so it was printed twice, and it didn't really do much for its price. It's still pretty pricey, but it's much cheaper than a Craterhoof, and you basically don't have to do math. If you have enough Saprolings, everybody's life total is 10.
All right, so Triumph of the Hordes +1/+1.
Total?
Yeah, because they'll die.
It makes their life total 10.
Because your creatures get trample and infect.
They have a second life total called
the poison.
They're poison counters.
That's not
it's their second secret life total.
What you don't view that as like a life? You look at it as it's a different thing.
Jason just said you don't have to do math, and now you're bringing out integers into this.
Look, it's I was going to correct it there just to say it's very simple math. You only have to count to 10. Yeah. My 4-year-old can do that.
Here, that Corbin calls you a 4-year-old if you're playing Triumph of the Hordes. Everybody.
Breaking news. Here's a question. I mean, how about this? We'll get out of this, but everybody, thank you for watching Sudden Substitution. If you want to see more like this, we put these up on our YouTube channel every week. Please feel free to share them. Like them, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching.
All of those things are free.
Yeah,
they true. Don't cost you your unemployment check.
They will help us. Please help us. Why don't you like us? We just gave you money-saving tips. I gave you a card that's $40 cheaper than Craterhoof, and you won't even thumbs up this video. Just give us a thumbs down. That still counts as interaction. Please help.
It's true. The algorithm doesn't care what kind of interaction you get. YouTube wants to promote controversy, gets more clicks. That's why we should just be more controversial in our YouTube videos.
We should. My pick for Sudden Substitution replacing Craterhoof Behemoth is, why don't you get better at Magic, you scrub? Oh, look at me. I'm going to play Craterhoof Behemoth and kill everybody because I can't make a deck. That's why I only play cards that cost $1 or less. I call it E1H instead of EDH. It's EIH, which is the Roman numeral for 1, because everything's $1.
Sure is, man.
And every week I have to check the price of everything in the deck, and if something went up, Skull Clamp's $1.50 now. Yank, it's out of there. E1H. If you had any sort of creativity, you wouldn't be playing with expensive cards. You'd be playing E1H, and your one card could be over $1, and I picked Gaia's Cradle.
I think all you were missing was something about net decking. That was pretty good.
I could go on one of my anti-EDH rec rants.
That's the thing. That's the thing I'm sure you have to deal with. I was going to ask this before. Is Triumph of the Hordes just like a jerk card to play in Commander?
No.
Because I feel...
mean. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. People don't like combos that go off like turn 3 and kill people, which is why someone's like, how can the rules committee say that something like was it a coalition victory should be banned because it's a must counter, but insurrection's fine? If you ramped your mana on turn 1 and played insurrection, nothing would happen. So Insurrection is only going to win games that aren't going to win themselves. That's why I like spells like that just win the game. Like, they're better if you play them late, and they're better if the game is not going to end any other way.
Well, everyone has something they don't like playing against in Commander, so that'll do that. All right, so let's get into cards we do like. Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
Every week we try to make each other guess what the card is. I'm sorry, DJ, I didn't mean to cut off your song. Go ahead.
That was the song. That was it. That was a condensed version for everyone's ears.
Okay. All right, I'll go first. I have
like a lo-fi study beats version of the Breaking Bulk song, but it was just 2 words.
Maybe. JJ, can you just loop that, put it in a video, get some soft listening on the channel? That's how we're really going to explode on YouTube.
Make it an ASMR, or else I'm quitting.
ASMR, we write.
It's Breaking Bulk. You gotta like pop all your B's and P's and stuff like that, and you gotta sound like your mouth is super wet. That's just ASMR.
Okay.
It's time for Breaking Bulk.
I'm worried that you're good at that.
I've never I'm aware of ASMR videos. I've never sat down and watched one.
Neither have I. That's why I'm worried that he's good at it.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to think of is Jason.
I'm good at everything.
Oh, okay.
So if you're hearing a lot of these really abrupt cuts, and you're like, do these guys do a bunch of different takes to make sure the episode quality is high? Certainly not. Those are not us redoing something. That is tangents caused by us just not really taking this very seriously. Every time we get on a weird tangent that isn't really related to the show, we put that in something called After Hours. And people that go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery, give us $20 a month, which is $4 or $5 an episode, they have access to this handsome drinking glass, the playmats, the tokens, but they also have access to those After Hours where they hear the stuff that is not fit for regular podcast consumption. So if you'd like to hear some of the goofy tangents we get off on which we get, yeah, there we go. Oh shit, get is a preposition too, isn't it? Oh boy, this is hard. Anyway, you can have access to the After Hours by going to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. We did it. We did the pitch.
Great pitch. Great pitch. Come for the magic finance. Stay for the grammar lesson.
Do you like brews? Do you like brains? We have both of those. Why don't you brainstorm your brews and brew your brainstorms while you're brainstorm brewing at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery.
I won't lie. You've been getting Channel Fireball with the, all your channel and your Fireball and your Channel Fireball needs. The Brainstorm Brewery was right up there.
It was good.
It was. I thought maybe CFB might crack back on Twitter. I know the social media manager listens to the show, is forced to, as a matter of fact, for work. So I'm just saying, I thought that they might come back at us, and that's that.
The person who runs the CFB Twitter has to listen to the entire thing?
Well, I don't know if he listens to the entire thing, but he listens to enough to put a clip out on Twitter, which is usually a funny clip, which would, imply that he has watched some of the podcast.
Not correct. You take any 5-second snippet of this show and it's going to be comedy gold. That's what we do here. We brew your brains and storm your balls. Brainstorm brew balls.
Okay.
Anyways,
my Breaking Bulk is
go ahead.
Commander 2015 rare. It is an artifact.
Aether Searcher.
What?
I don't even know what set that was from. That was
think
from
that's a conspiracy
card. Conspiracy came out around that time.
Sure.
I don't know what's in. What was Commander 2015?
What does that question even mean?
What were the themes?
It was enemy colors. So, is it Golgari, Orzhov?
Was that experience
Yes.
counters? Okay. So you're giving us an artifact from which deck?
Normally, I can tell you what deck this is from, but I actually don't know.
So it doesn't have a color-specific ability, then? So it has all colorless activations.
Correct. It is not intuitive as to which deck it would go in when you look at the card. It is a 5 mana artifact from Commander 20, and no reprint. So this is the only printing. No anthology, so that narrows it down.
Okay.
So it could go in any deck, is what you're saying? What's that thing where
it can't go in any deck because of. I mean, you could. It's not good in every deck.
No. What's the thing where you pick a color and then
it does kind of that thing.
You pick a color and then the spells of that color are cheaper?
You're close. You're very close.
What's that?
I don't know. I don't know the random commander stats.
Seal of the Council?
That I'll give it to you. Seal of the Guild Pact.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Yep,
I know that card.
You pick 2 colors when it enters the battlefield. And then each spell you cast costs 1 less to cast for each of the chosen colors that it is. It's a 5 mana artifact. It's got some art with all the guild insignias and whatnot, and it's $1. I sell this for $1 all day. I find this in bulk rare piles all day.
It's for Commander 2015, somehow not a Ravnica set.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one of those cards where I've talked about this a lot, but I'll be working at Magic Fest. Somebody hands me a box. They say, there's nothing in here. Pick through it. And then I put this card in the quarter pile, and they're like, what's that do? And I say, it gives you 25 cents when you give it to me. And this card, you can sell it for $1 on TCG Player. It's just a generically fine Commander card. I don't really think it makes the cut in any final Commander deck. It's pretty expensive compared to Gilded Lotus or just any other high-powered mana rock that gets you immediate efficiency, but it makes your stuff cost less, and people like doing that.
All right, I've got one from an interesting set here. This is a new Phyrexia set, but I will tell you, whatever card you're thinking of when I give you these hints, it's probably not that one. This is a black uncommon.
Entomber Exarch.
No.
Whispering Spectre.
No.
Reaper of Shield. It doesn't have the word infect on it. Icarats. No, Icarats was Scars of Mirrodin. Whispering Spectre, Reaper of Shieldred.
I can only think of
Caress of Phyrexia.
Nope. None of the above.
Black uncommon from New Phyrexia. This is a 5-cent card. I hate you so much.
It's not. It's $1 card. It's more expensive. It's more expensive than several of the cards CJ has named.
Despise?
No. It's a creature. It's not a creature. I'm sorry. It's not a creature.
What?
Oh, jeez.
If you don't know it by this point, you're probably not going to get it because I'm incredible at this game. Interesting that you haven't named Dismember. It's not Dismember, but
Dismember. Well, you said it's not what you're thinking of, so that's why I didn't say Dismember.
Dismember, I feel like would be cheating anyways. But no, it's none of the things you've named thus far.
Postmortem Lunge.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
That was way more than $1 at one point. There was something.
It was a modern
something.
Yeah. It did spike. It's 2019. It became a thing. That was when we got Amonkhet, I believe. We got Vizier of Remedies, the green-white decks that comboed off with Devoted Druid. Eventually just stopped playing fair things like Collected Company because the format was getting too silly. So instead, they played Postmortem Lunge to just bring their creatures back faster and win the game that way. So yeah, it spiked, but it's no longer worth as much as it spiked up to about $4, but it's still 50 cents $1, somewhere in that range. So it's not nothing on a buy list, that's for sure.
It's still worth pulling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, what do you got?
I have a card from Rise of the Eldrazi. That is uncommon.
I have to pretend like I didn't see this one. So
okay, let me see if I
can't tell you anything. If I tell you any information other than what set it's from,
Artisan of Kozilek.
No, it's not a creature.
It's not a creature, but it's got to be colorless then, right?
It has not necessarily got to be colorless.
Skittering Invasion.
No, it costs the same number of mana as Skittering Invasion.
Not of this world.
There you
go. Okay. I
didn't want to give you too much information, so all I told you was it's a mana cost.
That's fine. I mean, I was able to figure that out, but I actually figured it was. I I figured that was when you think we were going to guess, and that's why it was going to be Skittering Invasion.
Yeah. Not of this world. Over
That card's insane. It's free.
It's free. It's a free spell.
7 mana free spell.
You can make a spell 20 mana if you don't have to pay it. It's great.
Yeah, it's as we've noticed time and time again throughout Magic's history. All right,
I've definitely paid 5 mana for a Force of Will before. And it felt good.
Absolutely.
I won that game. I was at 1 life. I was like, "Oh, you gotta do more than just discard a card. I'll tap 5 for 4." Someone was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I had a mana cost on it." It's true. You can, if you elect to, you could pay 5 mana for a Force of Will. It feels real bad unless you're at 1 life and then you counter a spell that would have killed you. Then it feels real good.
All right. So the other thing that's hitting us right now, because there's basically no, I think it's probably just a misconception to say that there's a spoiler season these days. It's just spoilers.
There's never it's just spoiler life.
Yeah, it's just spoiler life. I mean, we had an awesome one for
Core Set
2021, but there's also Jumpstart. It feels like we just got a Coria because of the delayed release. They were all the commanders stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
I put Shacklegeist in a deck today.
Oh, there you go. Nice work.
I built up around Inez the Gale Force, and I was like, oh, Shacklegeist is legit good in this deck.
Yeah, it is. Inez the Gale Force comes from what we're going to talk about now, though, Jumpstart. This is, I think, one of the coolest product ideas they've had in quite some time. If you ever played the Smash Up, I believe is the name of the game, it's the same concept. You get one of these decks, and there are a bunch of different ones you can get, ranging from all kinds of themes in Magic. And then you jam it together with another deck, put them together, and play against your opponent who is doing the same thing. So this is pretty neat. DJ, do you want to talk a little bit about the distribution method so that people understand just what we're looking at from a financial standpoint?
Sure. So there are a total of 46 themes, which is the best way to put it, and every booster pack has a theme. So you can open a booster pack, and it can be, oh, this pack has a lot of mill cards, and oh, this pack has a lot of dogs, this pack has a lot of rogues, and every theme is a monocolor. So all your flying tribal theme is blue, your vampires are black, etc. And so you can open 2 packs and be, oh, I guess I'm playing vampire dinosaurs, or I'm playing discard rogues or zombie mill, and some of these themes will likely work better together than others. But then each theme is broken down into rarities. So you have your mythic themes, which are planeswalkers, of course. Like your Garruk is going to be your mythic in your mythic pack, and your Chandra is going to be your mythic. Then you have your rares, where the rogues, and they have, which is Gonti. Gonti's in this. Dragons, minotaurs, etc. Then you go down to the common themes like vampires, goblins, devils, etc. But the general theme of the overall product is that it is not like your average or ordinary booster pack. It's not like Conspiracy or Battle Bond, where you're opening up a pack of 15 cards and then passing them for draft or whatever. You are buying a booster box of this. It has X number of packs, and each of those packs has 20 cards, and then you build 2 40-card decks and battle them against each other. And so you're looking at a different rarity distribution based on that. So like Rhystic Study is a rare in this set, but it's not like a rare in a conventional set. It's not like you're opening up a Battle for Zendikar pack and getting it at the same frequency as Bring to Light or Eldrazi Displacer from the Gatewatch. You're opening it. I think Mystery Booster is a more apt comparison, where each of those packs had individual slots where cards could go. So like when you opened a pack of Mystery Boosters, you could have a quote common Rhystic Study in your old school slot where it had a pre-M15 border, or you could have like a Weathered Wayfarer. Both of those cards have different rarities in their original printings, air quotes. But they filled the same slot, and I think that's what you can much more expect from this Jumpstart product, where every individual card has a lower chance of being open just because of how the distributions and the consistency in the packs work. So like, yes, Sheoldred is in this product, and she's a quote mythic, and so is Craterhoof, but like, again, we're not following normal set rules. This product doesn't have 15 mythics. and then X rares and Y commons and Z uncommons. It just has like a massive amount of different cards, and each of those cards are just carefully placed and distributed. Like, you can have 5 different Chandra packs, but all those packs have a Chandra, but not all those packs have the same number of commons or the identical commons and uncommons, right? So like it's just a different product, and I think we can expect a lot different price changes and based on that. So like when Craterhoof was in Modern Masters 2017, it got crushed for a while. It got stomped on. It went from like $40 or whatever it was when it was in Avacyn, and then it was 20 for a while. I don't think that we see Craterhoof go from 50 to 20. I don't think we see Ristic Study go from 25 to 10. I think that the sheer density of high quality reprints in this takes a little bit away from the impact of each individual reprint. So I don't think that this is going to be a saving grace for just slashing the prices on a whole ton of cards, but it will increase availability by a significant amount. And again, it also just like gives us a ton of reprints while also creating good cards. It's a great product, don't get me wrong. It does fill a similar niche to Battle Bond and Conspiracy, but I don't think it is a just slash all prices product.
Well, especially given everything going on, right? It almost couldn't be just
right.
Whether it was meant to be or not, it's not going to be.
Yes.
So we'll see. And it has, and even the thing is, it's also just going to be very difficult with the way things are going to determine its impact, anyways, because there's so many other factors happening, right? For all we know, it would have dropped in a normal, if nothing else was going on. Maybe it would have dropped the price of one of Craterhoof down to $30 or $25 or something, but it's certainly not going to now, right? Even if it could, so it's not going to make a big dent onto those prices. So it's almost it's crazy. It feels like not very long ago, just I would say 3-4 months ago, and time doesn't really mean anything in quarantine time, but it felt like we were talking about how there were no good picks of the week. It felt like because everything was kind of going down, they'd ruined every format and nothing felt good. And now it's almost just like shooting fish in a barrel, right? There's so many cards going up in price. It's hard to miss. Yeah. So it's interesting that we're going to head into pick of the week now, and I look at all the ups and downs cards over the past week, and I was legitimately concerned, and we talked about watching it play out, but I was legitimately concerned back in, say, January about how many cards we were seeing drop compared to rise. And it's been interesting to watch it all play out now. Because I'm now pick of the week. It's hard to figure out what isn't going up.
So one more point I want to make on Jumpstart, and it just sort of it's another way to tie it to Mystery Booster, but it's also just sort of a state of, I guess, the listener's ability to keep up on the state of the game. And that's, I guess, just like, I don't want people to feel bad or overwhelmed at not being able to keep track of how many reprints a card has. Because like even us on this cast, like it's just the sheer amount of variant printings that cards have nowadays. It's just difficult to keep track of how many cards have what reprints, unless you are some sort of wizard who has the ability to keep track of every single card all the time at all times. But like Triumph of the Hordes was in Mystery Booster. Not everyone knows that because Mystery Boosters didn't get to see a ton of play outside of Magic Fests. Like 6 months from now, you might be going, oh wait, Cathar's Crusade was in Jumpstart? I didn't know that. Again, everybody knows, like, oh, obviously Oracle and Moldiah was one of the all-stars of the set, but like you may not have known that Galta got its 16th printing here, or like that Drana Liberator of Malakir was not only in a product last year but again this year, or like because
they're really trying to punish me for specking on Italy. Like, printing it every 2 months. It seems like there's stuff that goes 5 years without a reprint, and then there's some stuff they're like, we need to reprint Black Market every 6 months.
It is you wonder, I don't know the reasons for that, right? There's so many, we know that they do know what the prices of cards are when they print them, but you wonder, is the Black Market in if how they come to the conclusion of, is this basically a reprint slot,
I-
or is this just the card that happens to work here? And
I think it's a lot
that's
of
how
just like
you get the reprints.
I think it's just a lot of market research on which individual cards have very high hit rates for
interesting.
like,
Okay.
like what people like. And I think a really good example of that is those 3 Naya dinosaurs specifically, because like obviously Tetsubok and what Nezahal, the blue one, those are obviously just
the
kind
blue
of
one.
washes. Like that one of them was a standard control thing, and one of them was the scourge of an entire fucking limited set.
Sure was.
But like Galta, Itali, and Zatopa have like 75 reprints between the 3 of them, and I think that just goes to show like how. And I mean, the price of Zakama and Gishat and the demand for those cards specifically, but like Wizards just hit the nail on the head so hard with like, oh, people want big dumb dinosaurs. Like it's just like how it took them 20 something years to realize that cats were like one of the most beloved tribes in all of Magic, but like they just once they hit that mark, they know to just go hard on it, and they know they can always find demand for like, I want to play my 12/12 for 2 green mana. And like people are like, I want to play my cats, I want to play my dogs, I want to play my 6 mana red giant dinosaur, I want to play my double striking indestructible. Like they have individual market research for those kinds of like flavor hits, and I think it's just like a very easy way for them to go like, oh yeah, people still love this.
Okay.
Rant, it's like / rant. And rant.
Okay, well, let's jump into our final segment of the week. Then it's Pick of the Week.
Pick of the Week, Pick of the Week, Pick of the Week. Time for the Pick of the Week.
Okay, so my Pick of the Week, and you might have spotted something like this coming based on my little rant earlier, but Guardian Project from Ravnica Allegiance is $5. It's climbed from it's $5 to $6. It's climbed from $4 a couple months ago, but just looking at all these cards, we talked about super staples spiking. You look at the price of Smothering Tithe out of the same set, a card that is obviously very, very powerful, and we don't question that price, but Guardian Project is not that far behind. It's insane in Commander, and it's $6 right now. So I think this is probably just going to be one of these that is going to be an easy 10 before this is all said and done, and that the way things are going, it could go in a week or two. So I like Guardian Project a lot at the $5 to $6 mark.
That's nuts.
It's crazy, right, to say that about a rare that's in print and standard, but in print doesn't mean much right now. So yeah, but there's just no other way to look at how these cards have gone, and the way cards from that are like Guardian Project, something like Smothering Tithe, have behaved to not think that it's going to get more expensive than this. And it's easy to say, oh, it's super recent, but another one to look at is something like Journey to Eternity. That's a lot worse. It's very powerful, but it's basically worse in terms of how many decks it goes into than Guardian Project. And that card's $7 to $8. And those cards were not printed that far apart in time. So it seems like if we're already seeing cards that are that recent, that are just rares, that are just pretty good, start reaching these heights, Guardian Project is better. It's in the Smothering Tithe tier. So that's what I think it's going to do.
Seems fine.
Yep. Jason?
So if you look at EDH Rec every week like I do, and go to the commanders page, it tells you the most popular commanders for the past week, for the past month, and the past 2 years. Because 2 years is as far back as we go. If you look at the past month, it's crazy. It's all like new stuff, but like people either aren't playing the new stuff or they aren't getting it. It feels like a lot of the new commanders have fallen off. So stuff like Korvald, Marin, Kess, Sisse, Marchesa, Niv Mizzet, Perrin, Teysa Karlov, Yuriko, those are all really popular last week. But stuff from Commander 2020, it's kind of sparse, right? You have Gavian Nest Warden, you have Nethroi. Well, Nethroi's from Ikoria, but those sets came out at the same time. You have Zoxera, but the number one most built deck that of the week that's blowing away everything else from Commander 2020 is Calamax. It's in the deck. I thought Xyrus would be the most popular for a long time, but people are really big on Calamax because you get to play something every turn, I guess. and it doubles spells. So it's like, instead of paying all that mana to double your spells with what's that? With the other teamer one.
Riku.
Okay.
Riku. Of 2 reflections.
Yeah. I was thinking mirror. Riku of the Clouded Mirror. No, that's Moloku.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calamax, double spells, people like that. Something that's going in a lot of the Calamax decks that I liked a long time ago, and it took forever to get where it is now. Supply's drying up, and it's around $4 most of the places, but some sites have this for like $2.50.
Okay.
If you can get a mirror pool under $3, I think that's a good way to go. I really like mirror pool under $3 right now.
Mirror pool is a great one.
It's flirting with $5. It doubles. It can either make a copy of a creature or double a spell. Calamax is super popular. Like, this seems like a no-brainer to me. I liked mirror pool a long time ago, but it took forever.
I'm surprised that card has never been in a Commander product.
Yeah.
I think, it maybe, have they ever put colorless mana requirements in those decks?
No. I think that's very confusing, and I think that might actually insulate it from some reprint risk.
You say that one of these days they'll just do an Eldrazi one, but you're right. It's not something that can just accidentally be in a be in a set, which does lower the risk a lot.
I like it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
So
card's pretty cool.
My pick of the week I stole from somebody on Twitter. But they are somebody that I respect a lot, and my pick of the week, and we're going to have them on the cast soon. My pick of the week is Nahiri the Harbinger.
Okay.
From Shadows over Innistrad, but more specifically from Commander 2020. This is a Planeswalker that was obviously very powerful when it was in Standard. It saw Modern play. It's seen Pioneer play. And it's $1. Like, the card is $1. Yeah. It's one of the strongest Boros Planeswalkers ever printed. We could theoretically see some Zendikar Rising big monster like Titan, not Eldrazi, but like some big Zendikar monstery things. That was some other logic I saw that was supporting the card's price. But I mean, I really just don't think Nahiri the Harbinger should be $1, and it's just mind-blowing to me that card is that cheap.
We were like, any Planeswalker that's under $5 you just pick up.
Yeah, back in like 2016.
I don't think this can be 25 cents for long.
Well, what's crazy about Nahiri is that it's also just it's at times been very good in Eternal formats. There was a hot minute where it was like the best deck in Modern.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Was this Nahiri control deck that went and got your Emrakul. Now, obviously, there's better win conditions now or whatever, but it is not often you see a card go from that level of dominant to unplayed and, cost $1. So I'm with DJ. That's out of whack. For sure.
Yep.
Oh, good pick. All right. Well, everybody, I think that does it for us this week. Guys, is there anything else you would like to say before we get out of here? All right.
It's 1:30 it's 1:30 in the morning.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Next week, we will have our Core Set 2021 set review with a special guest. So thank you so much for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. As always, shout out to our sponsor, Channel Fireball. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Good night, or good morning, or whatever,
Bye.
Yeah, that one.